Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
Okay, this week we have a little something different. As we record this, Val Kilmer just passed away. So, you know, we all liked his work, and we happened to, hard to believe, 5 years ago, did a full episode on Val that came out of another conversation about him. And then we all just picked our favorite Val Kilmer movies, and we discussed them amongst all 5 Regular Joes. So we wanted to re-release that, in honor of his passing. I mean, 65, way too young.
Yeah.
And,
and he had diagnosed with throat cancer back in 2015, so he's been, battling for a while now.
Yeah, he died of pneumonia, supposedly.
Well,
so
when you're sick that long, you're very
there's
vulnerable.
complications of stuff.
Did he do anything after Maverick?
No, at least on IMDb, credit. That was his last thing.
Yeah. Okay, so that's
Yeah,
but what's interesting is at the time we recorded this show, we didn't even know that they were making Top Gun Maverick, right? I mean, it hadn't been released.
No, it's funny, because I thought maybe the fact that we knew that was happening is why we talked about it. Maybe not. But Maverick came out a full 2 years later, but that was held back for a while. So,
no, it was. So maybe we knew about it. It's hard to remember. But
yeah.
I mean, we were all fans of his work, so.
You look at the body of his work, it's amazing the number of genres he covered, all kinds of different things. And there's, if you haven't seen a lot of his work, there's a lot of gems there. It's worth going back and revisiting the catalog.
It's funny. I feel like he's, how some movies are cult favorites. Not that doesn't mean they're bad, but he's one of these people that everyone likes, and they all have a different sensibility. I think our show proves that. We all like him from different things. Yep. And there's always somebody always has something really good to say about him because he's done a lot of different good work. And, there we go. We've talked about him for hours in this show and before. So
And it really seemed like he didn't take himself too seriously either, which, he had a good sense of humor about his career, and he did a lot of different genres. But, everything that we've seen publicly, so all the social media posts from people that knew him and worked with him, everybo's just got the same things to say.
Some great stuff. The
awesome.
Ron Howard thing today was really, really good and really moving. And, again, it's just, like I said, sad and way too soon. So
yeah, for
Agreed.
Sure. So here in its entirety, episode number 332 from April of 2020, like right into COVID, is when we recorded this. We didn't even realize it was that far. So not only are we going to give you this episode, we cut out the snippet where we came up with the idea, or probably had a discussion or argument, turned into the full episode that you're now about to hear. Rest in peace, Val. Way too soon.
Yes.
We really appreciated all your work.
Yes.
Dave, what's in the box?
Oh, I go. Okay. I continue to go on the Celebrity Authentics auctions. This is not something I was looking for, but I put a low bid in, and I've got a Val Kilmer signed Doc Holliday
that's awesome.
Autograph.
Oh, that's nice. What a great shot.
And it says Doc right here, too. So this is Val Kilmer from Tombstone, classic movie. Speaking of Michael Biehn. I see this a lot, and I'm like, it would be cool to have that. I think I paid $45 for that.
That is a great autograph. That picture is perfect for that.
Yeah.
It's like...
and there's him signing it?
Yeah. It's very, very rare that you see a photo that you look at that's just like, there's a perfect spot for a signature.
Yeah.
And that's right on that's beautiful.
I'd much rather have him on a Mad Mardigan photo from Willow, but since neither of you have ever seen that movie, you don't know what that's all about.
And probably never will. So...
I agree with that. Top Gun? But we gonna go through this again. He's been in 2 movies. It was 2 or 3? 3 movies: Heat, Top Gun, and Tombstone.
You guys have to watch Willow at some point.
No. Top Secret and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yep.
All right. This is the same conversation we had
That's what
last
I'm
time.
saying.
And Willow.
You got to get. You guys got to see both of those movies. I'm telling you.
I have seen both of
I
those
don't want
movies.
to see any of those movies.
Those are probably my two favorite of his movies, other than Willow.
Yeah. Okay.
Not Tombstone or Top Gun. I just watched Top Gun the other night.
I've never seen
I would say
Tombstone, and
Tombstone.
I like Top Gun. I don't love Top Gun.
Whoa.
Tombstone's
I'm not a Western
close.
guy.
Never seen Tombstone?
I don't like Westerns, really.
Todd?
Tombstone's
Ruling on
fantastic.
I don't like Westerns
I was going to
either.
say neither of you like.
Tombstone's fantastic.
I like westerns way more than either of you. Tombstone is great. It's
All
really,
right, make you a
Tombstone,
deal. I'll watch Tombstone. You watch
and
Willow.
he is one of the
That's
best
not
things
a-
in Tombstone.
That's
That's
a tough trade-off.
yeah.
You would enjoy it. I'm telling you. Maybe that's our next
Nope.
drinking show.
You want to do that?
This is a glimmer. I'm like thinking, theoretically, a lot of time off. Nope, not gonna go.
All right,
Okay.
we've got nothing but time for the next couple of weeks. What if, we pick a Friday night and we do a drinking show and we watch Willow?
Oh, no, we watched Tombstone. We watched both. Who's up for a 4-hour show? No, I let's think
One
about
hell of a
this.
double feature.
Maybe I don't know if it's next week because we want to talk about Picard, but do we want to pick a Val Kilmer movie that we all have to watch that we haven't seen? Like I haven't
we
seen
could
Willow.
do that. No,
or...
that's actually not a bad idea. We don't have to do live watching, but we could.
No.
We could each pick a Val Kilmer movie for the other person. You've never seen Top Secret or Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
Nope. And I've never seen Willow. And you've never seen Willow.
And I've never seen Tombstone.
And you've never
Oh,
seen.
I think we got a
you've seen
show.
the other
I think,
two,
guys, I think we got a show here. So
I've
you
seen
got-
the other two, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, Batman Forever or Batman Beyond or Batman and Robin. Excellent.
yeah,
No, I don't know which one it was.
I've seen that, unfortunately.
forever.
That's one I wish I could unsee.
Yeah.
So it's. Let me just. Barry has not seen Tombstone. Me and you have.
So Barry's got to see Tombstone.
Neither one of us has seen Willow.
Right.
Only one person has.
Right.
And I haven't seen. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but.
I think you got to see Top Secret, Dave.
You pick one of those movies.
Okay. If I'm going to
I'm
sit through
picking
Willow,
Tombstone.
I think you got to see Top Secret. So
See, but I think Dave has a better shot at liking Willow than you do.
I think he does too, but there's no movie left for me then.
We'll find one.
Well, you haven't seen Willow, so that's good.
No, but he's saying you should see Willow. So we
So
should-
you both
No,
watch
we all
Willow.
see all three of them, and we talk about all three.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This is brainstorming on
So
the.
you're
going
going
to
to watch two movies. You're going to watch two movies, Dave.
I'll watch two movies.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm good for that then.
I don't think we're going to do it next week. Maybe.
We'll do it another week.
Yeah,
I don't want to be forced to watch Willow by myself. So
I'm going to watch Tombstone again. There's
I'll
not,
watch.
I'll
In
tell you
fact,
this,
I would
Barry.
watch all three. Okay, so that's our thing. That's our.
Yeah, I'll
That's
watch all
we're going
three.
to watch all three.
Also,
there isn't a time that Tombstone is
not
on
be-
that I don't tune in.
Could not be three more different films. So
Totally. They're all different genres.
completely different genres, and
One of them is really good.
right, and then the others are Willow and
Ask any
Tombstone.
real man. There's not a real man in this. Just limited to this country that doesn't love Tombstone.
I'm sure I'll love it. I've just never
Todd?
seen it.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Yep. So
Okay, there you go.
So,
You-
Barry,
you
now
feel-
just to be clear, you don't accidentally watch Wyatt Earp.
Don't watch Wyatt. Oh, don't.
Or Unforgiven. Yeah, I won't watch that one either.
No. It's just Wyatt Earp is
No,
the same.
Unforgiven
Is
is
the
supposed
same
to be
story,
good. I don't
just
love it.
done with anyways.
You know who other people are in Tombstone? There's no one who's not great who's in Tombstone.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton,
Yes.
Kurt Russell.
Oh my god!
Sam,
It's like
what's his face?
Yeah.
Is that
It's
the
like
one
an
that John
orgy.
Bon
It's like
Jovi's
an
in?
orgy of manhood.
Oh, I'm thinking of Young Guns 2. Sorry.
Oh god.
I thought this was going to be an awesome show about how much we love Willow. I guarantee the vote will not be in Willow's favor.
We'll see. Who knows?
Maybe you'll like it. You know who else is in it?
I am going into this with completely an open mind and a large.
Who else is it?
And a large
is in it,
quantity
right?
of
No.
alcohol.
It's her name's is Joanne Whalley. Was Val Kilmer's wife.
That's I'm giving you Bill Paxton, and you're giving me some
you
girl
know who
no one ever
Joanne
heard of.
Whalley
She's hotter than Bill Paxton.
Dave, she's Daredevil's mother in the 3rd season of Daredevil.
Okay. I don't know.
She was hotter when she was in.
Okay, that's not doing it for me.
See, I told you wouldn't think. No, yeah,
Dana Delaney in her prime.
she.
Sure.
Danny,
Presumed
sorry,
innocent.
I have to stop for a moment when you say that. Okay. Anyways,
Oh no, that's Bonnie Bedelia, not Dana Delaney.
yeah, no, never really, but yeah.
Also, the guy who played the other dudes in it, Billy Zane.
Billy Zane,
Yeah.
villain of
Okay.
Titanic.
I think we gotta.
And Michael Biehn. Michael Bihn's in it.
I
right,
think,
you're lobbying
I think
maybe
we've
just a
got
little too hard
we've
right
got
now.
a show for. Okay, so those of you that are actually still listening to this, God knows why. Okay, not next week, but the week after, we're seriously going deep on Val Kilmer. So
There you go. Maybe he'll be on. We'll see if we can get him.
Yeah,
bring
I
him
think
up.
if you threw him $50, he'd break quarantine and come to your house.
he's probably got nothing to do. But anyways,
He's doing ADR for Top Gun 2
yeah.
right
so,
now.
You know what? He's actually in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, but he doesn't speak. He doesn't have a speak. He plays Silent Bob in the movie version of the movie. He looks terrible.
He has a long and storied career, and he's got many iconic roles, and we'll explore some of them.
Well, I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry.
Why, Johnny Ringo, you look like somebody just walked over your grave. Fight's not with you, Holiday.
I beg to differ, sir. We started a game we never got to finish. Play for blood, remember?
I was just fooling about.
I wasn't.
I'm not the first guy who fell in love with a girl he met in a restaurant who then turned out to be the daughter of a kidnapped scientist, only to lose her to a childhood lover who she'd last seen on a deserted island and who turned out 15 years later to be the leader of the French underground.
I know it. It all sounds like some bad movie.
My name is Mad Mardigan. I am the greatest swordsman that ever lived. Well, that was really stupid, Peck.
Don't call me a Peck.
Oh, I'm sorry. Peck. Peck. Peck, 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 peck.
You be careful. I am a powerful sorcerer. See this acorn? I'll throw it at you and turn you to stone.
Ooh. I'm really scared. No, don't! Don't! There's a peck here with an acorn pointed at me!
They're into movies and toys and TV shows, comics and collecting and superheroes. There's no end to the useless stuff they know. But don't call them geeks, they're just regular Joes.
Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
I'm Todd Pleasant.
I'm Daryl DePriest.
And I'm Brian Mix.
Look at that, everybody.
We got a packed house, people.
Packed house.
More Joes than you know what to do with.
We just couldn't keep people away from this episode.
It's the topic is so compelling. We're all here.
Is so
It's
compelling.
Kilmer. He's got a magnetic personality. You know,
That's
he
it.
draws
He does.
people in.
Yeah.
So for those of you who live under a rock, this show is going to be about the great Val Kilmer. I guess was it last week's episode or 2 weeks ago?
Couple weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, and then a couple weeks before that. It all started. I had a picture that I bought, the Val Kilmer signed picture of Val Kilmer, and we all were debating Was that when it was, or we were debating him at another time too?
No, that was pretty much the genesis.
Mm-hmm.
So we were debating like, and I said like Val Kilmer's only been in 2 movies, Tombstone and Top Gun, and then we were sort of arguing. So we all picked a movie. I guess that's our favorite Val Kilmer. I mean, that's how I picked mine. I know, Todd, you had a couple, and
yep,
and we all.
And mine wasn't necessarily even my favorite. It was just I was surprised growing up Star Wars fans and Lucas fans that you guys hadn't seen Willow. So that was really where mine came from.
They're also very, very different films. Okay, so it's within the space of 10 years, they're completely different films from one another.
And
so
within an actor's catalog of movies he's made, these are very different types of films, each one of them.
So,
each of you had not seen at least one of them.
That's what was good.
That was the other thing too.
What was unique?
I had not seen the other 2. Barry had not seen the other 2, I don't think, or had you?
No, I hadn't seen either.
And Todd had not seen one.
I had not seen Willow.
It actually made good. So it actually turned into something goofy. That turned into, I think, a good episode. Hopefully,
and so you guys, where were your stats?
Like, had you seen
Brian? You'd seen everything.
I'd seen them all, but 2 of them only in the theater when they first came out.
Okay. Yeah. Daryl?
I had only seen Tombstone. I hadn't seen the other 2. And I loved the kind of challenge aspect that you guys put out. So as a listener of the last 2 shows, I looked at it like a challenge. Like, I'm going to watch along with.
Well, hopefully other people are doing that as well. So
Daryl and I were texting about something else, and he's like, "I watched all the shows." So today I'm like, "I watched all the movies." I'm like, "When do you come on then?" I mean, I didn't realize anyone would actually watch. And apparently, Todd and Brian had the same conversation.
That's like, hey, why don't you come on then?
Yeah.
Well, and what's actually funny, and had I known we were bringing people, a friend of mine who I work with, who actually listens to the podcast, actually texted me that he was ready for the Val Kilmer marathon.
Oh, really? That's so funny.
Wow.
And,
as we say this, we're still waiting for a return call from Val Kilmer.
Well, no, Val can't be on because of scheduling conflict, and that he has no idea who we are.
He didn't respond to our tweet.
So, than that.
Well, that's okay. Based on his filmography, I think it's about time he starts paying attention to fan podcasts like this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and what else is he doing? I'm sure he's under quarantine like everybody else. So
he probably is. Yeah. So I'm going to give out the instructions for all of us. You could listen along because some of these get a little weird, and there are lengthy texts about some of this stuff. So here's
but before we go any further,
what
is there a grading scale in here?
Yes,
scale of 8 to 7.
I'm going to need to take notes.
I'm giving that's why I wanted to do this on the show. So
if
everybody.
Iceman is a 12.
So here, we'll cover that first. At the end of the show, after we've discussed all 3 movies, we're going to ask for you all of us, to rate the movies on a scale of 1 to 10. Simple enough.
Yep.
And you need to describe your scale. And I'll give you, for instance. So somebody could say, on a scale of 1 to 10, in a world where Titanic is a 10 and Money Train is a 1, I give these whatever.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Totally. You define your 10 and you define your 1. So it's not in any genre.
Okay.
It's not in a Star Wars thing. It's just all movies. And I want obviously we all have multiple 10s and 1s. Is that fair enough?
Sure.
I'm giving you at least an hour to figure all that out.
Yeah.
I haven't even figured it out for myself, but I just thought, so everyone's on board with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
The next thing is when we get to the movies, each of the core regular Joes will have a minute, or let's figure out a time to give an opening statement.
Wow.
Your film. Like a minute. Is that fair enough?
Sure.
I chose this movie because, and this is why I think
so we're going to introduce the film that we've added.
Yes, and you can give your opening statement on the film. We've all chosen these films, so let's. Okay. Not that there's any winners or losers at the end. I mean, it's just let the voting public do that. And the other thing is, we need to figure out what order do we want to talk about the movies in. We could pick them out of a hat. We could do alphabetical order. We could do whatever you want.
Chronologically as they were released.
Yeah.
I don't even know when they were all released.
Top Secret's first.
84,
was
88,
84?
93.
Top Secret. Willow's in the middle. Willow's in the middle.
I don't know. I think if you want to save the best for last, we should do Willow last.
Then let's do alphabetical order.
Okay. Now I see where he's coming from.
I'm not saying that. I want us all to choose, or we could pick him out of a hat.
I think because we're looking at a career retrospective here, we go chronological.
Okay.
You were saying the best movie, Barry, or were you saying the best discussion?
I was assuming it may be the best discussion, but, you know.
So that would mean... Todd, you want to go chronological? That's fine. I don't care. So it'll be Top Gun. It'll be Top Secret. Top Secret, Willow, Tombstone. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yep.
3. Okay. We're also going to do a show and tell that has to be Val Kilmer. First of all, Todd, it's Val Kilmer, not Val Kilmer.
I'm sorry.
You even spelled it that way.
Yeah.
That is Val Kilmer related, and since not everyone may have a Val Kilmer related, it could be Val Kilmer adjacent. The thing is, it has to be within 3 moves of Val Kilmer. You should be able to do it in 1.
Yes.
6 degrees.
Everybody should be able to do it in 1.
Yes.
Everyone should be able. The 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon was ridiculous because anyone could almost be related to Kevin Bacon in 1 move. Almost anybody.
Almost.
You and your media world you live in.
We've done this. We've discussed this on the show. I am related to Kevin Bacon in 1 move. I was Richard Lewis, the comedian, was on the show, on my show I worked on as a camera assistant, Tattinger's. I played his photo double in a scene because they didn't send the right-looking guy. And on that show was Oliver Platt, who was in that movie where they killed themselves and they go back in the past with Kevin Bacon. So I am related in 1 move to Kevin Bacon.
So
Flatliners?
Flatliners.
Wait. How is that 1 move?
2. Well, is it 1 other person? So it's me to Oliver Platt. I guess it's 2.
Yeah, the idea is like you would get Oliver Platt on the phone and he could get Kevin Bacon on the phone.
No. That's just
no. But what I'm saying is that's when what you count as a move. You count as
someone was in a movie with someone who was in a movie with Oliver Platt or whatever.
My card used to be I for many years I worked with someone who was directly related to Paul Sorvino. And Paul Sorvino's been in the film with everyone who exists. So it was like you could do 2 degrees of anybody, including Kevin Bacon, via knowing this person. So
there you go. Okay, so we got that covered. Fanboy Collectibles, check them out. They've got Pops and Sideshow and Hasbro and Kotobukiya and, did I say Hot Toys? They got everything you want. Statues. If you don't have a statue, buy a statue.
There's something for everybody. There's great ideas to send links to the people that are going to buy you gifts and tell them what it is you want. You can pre-order things. And Troy and his crew over there are the best. So, definitely check them out.
If you're in New England, you owe it yourself to make a visit to the store in Newtown, Connecticut. Awesome. Lots of stuff to see. I guarantee you will leave with something you didn't plan on.
Exactly. And tell them the Regular Joe sent you. So that we can get to the meat of the show. Let's do our show and tell off the bat, if everyone's okay with that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Todd.
Okay, mine's kind of a spoiler, okay? But I have a stamp that appears in almost the first scene of, pretty much very close to the first scene of Top Gun.
Not
Secret.
Top Gun, it's Top Secret.
Okay, that was my first one.
Top
Secret, it says, find him and kill him. And that's actually what the stamp says. My friend Brian, who, Barry, you met, he went with us to the Star Trek experience. We saw the movie together. And a couple of years later, he had this stamp made. And that when he went to have the stamp made for me, they actually refused to make it. And
Really?
explain the context of the stamp because they won't make a find him and kill him stamp for just anyone. But Brian persisted and got it made, and that sits on the shelf in my office. So
That's awesome. You are
nice.
connected to your movie.
Oh, he's 100% connected. Yeah,
That's impressive.
So Brian, what do you have?
I have a cheesy one, first of all. The cheesy one is at the end of Tombstone.
Yep.
They talk about the pallbearers. One of them was Tom Mix.
Yes.
In his cowboy, and he wept. Well, I'm distantly related to Tom Mix, so I'm.
Oh, that's awesome.
Really? Daryl, what do you got?
So
yeah, please move on.
This being, it was brought to my attention by this whole project. This is the 25th anniversary of Batman Forever. Yes. And I know it's not widely celebrated, but I thought I'd celebrate a little bit with a couple of the Batmobiles from my collection. Now, recently, I put up every Batmobile ever made that's above like a Hot Wheel size Batmobile in display cases, and it's freaking awesome to,
it is amazing.
To see. This is a lighted Batman Forever Batmobile. So I'm going to show you two Batmobiles for a second. So I went ahead and refreshed the batteries in that, so that was cool. But the thing I like most is actually this slightly cheesy one that's a 3-in-1 Ultimate Batmobile. And this thing came with the wings to make a bat jet and
so cool.
And the chassis for a bat boat. So, when you're not using it as a Batmobile, it's just a bunch of, useless parts. So I think I'm actually going to search for a couple more of these on eBay so I can actually display all three of them.
So that's like cool. Avenger Pursuit Craft of Batmobiles.
That's really good, Todd. That's exactly what it is. So
that's a deep pull.
But what I liked is I kind of got reacquainted with the toy aspect that Kenner did. Kenner designed some phenomenal toys before we bought them. No, actually, that was after Hasbro bought them. But and that's just a cool toy. It's a cool toy for a movie that rightly so is a terrible movie. I think it's not very good, and I know that Batmobile doesn't have its fans, in the pantheon of Batmobile fans. I kind of like it only because it's so different from the others.
It's very unique. We talked about this earlier, and I described it as being over-designed cheese grater.
That's pretty funny. That's true. It's got a lot of holes in it, like like you could grate cheese with it. But anyway, so thanks to this, I kind of reacquainted myself with a couple of cool toys. So that's my show and tell.
Nice. Brian, were you done? I know you had to.
No, I've got one more. I'm sorry, I got called by my. There's another Zoom meeting going on in the house. I had to help arrange, but let me put my thoughts together here. So what's his name? Bill Paxton was in.
Oh, Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton was in Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks, who was the host of From the Earth to the Moon.
Correct.
Okay. And this is a Mercury spacecraft marker used in the first episode of From the Earth to the Moon.
Ooh. Oh, wow.
So when John Glenn is going around the planet, this is actually from the movie. They grab the thing and they move it along on his path. This is the.
That's cool.
What? That's awesome.
And that's from the movie, from the TV show.
From the TV series, From the Earth to the Moon.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah.
How did you get your hands on that?
I found it at an auction, and no one bid on it because they didn't understand what it was, or they hadn't seen it in the show. But I knew exactly what it was.
Yeah, that's great.
That. And it's just a resin casting, but it's
I was going to ask you what was on the other side because that's interesting. So very cool.
Nice.
Great piece.
Cool.
And yes, I'm distantly related to Tom Mix. He was my grandfather's second cousin.
Cool. Barry, what do you got?
Well, as you guys know, I'm a fan of the movie Willow, and actually, as it would happen, my wife is a fan of it as well. So when we were at Celebration 6 and Warwick Davis was there, she wanted to meet him. So we waited online to get his autograph, and I actually have an autographed photo from Celebration. Oh, you can't see it with the background. From Celebration 6. Let me turn this dopey virtual background off for a minute. So it's a photo of Willow. It's even though it has the Star Wars Celebration 6 logo at the bottom, it's a Willow shot.
Oh, really? Oh. I'm surprised they did that.
They had it at the table, and
I'm surprised it didn't say Willowbration 6. But anyway,
well, that'll be right after we do RunCon.
Yeah.
It actually, he inscribed on it, "Don't call me a peck," up in this corner.
That's great.
And it's another word that I honestly can't read above his name with an exclamation point. And then he wrote Warwick Davis, and then he wrote Willow under that. So, and I've got a photo of my whole family meeting him, even with my wife's little sister with us. So I'll give you that to post on the website, Todd, even though
it's
slightly out of focus when they took it for me. But yeah, and that was a lot of fun meeting him.
Cool. I'm
Dave,
going to. I have a twofer. The first one is Val Kilmer adjacent. He was in this movie, Top Gun, the actual Top Gun, not Top Secret, with this other guy. I don't know if you're familiar with him, Tom Cruise. I've been holding on to this one for a while, I held in my hands an autographed photograph of. Oh, damn! I'll turn off my thing.
Yeah, the virtual backgrounds don't work with the showing things.
Of Tom Cruise from Mission Impossible.
Did you get that from Andy?
Look at that.
I did not. I got it from. It may have been Army or one of those guys.
Okay.
It was definitely online, but it's cool. Yeah. I got it from some dude in England. It's an 8x12, so it's like this cool action shot. I'll obviously show pictures. So
that is cool.
That's really cool.
I've been wanting a Tom Cruise, as you can imagine.
I'm just surprised you didn't hold out for. You were going to have an Iceman helmet. I thought for sure there'd be a helmet.
I would actually probably make a Maverick helmet.
Surprised you didn't hold out for a Top Gun photo.
Yeah.
I almost bought one after I bought that one. Someone posted one, and I was super tempted. It would actually double what I paid for that. So I'm like, let me just hold off, because I hadn't actually gotten that in the mail to see what it looked like. So I figure I'll wait. There's a lot of pictures in the mail. The other thing is, I think I've shown this on the show. When Mark wanted to be a cowboy for Halloween, I'm like, let's both be cowboys. So I actually had us have custom-made toy gun holsters. This is mine. And it used to come with this gun, this little tiny cap gun. But a couple of years ago, when I'm watching Tombstone and I ordered online, I got the same gun that Johnny Ringo uses, Peacemaker. And it does not fit in this holster, but I'm going to remake this part.
Yeah.
This is one of those Denix, guns. So they all use nickel-plated Peacemakers.
Nice.
So that is
I got to say, watching this, I think I want a Peacemaker with a 9-inch barrel. I think I do.
9-inch. That's giant. This, I think, is the 4-inch.
That's what Wyatt
was that Wyatt's? Yeah.
Wyatt had a 10-inch barrel on his Peacemaker.
Wow.
But it's yeah.
I think the Denix makes all those sizes.
They do.
Yeah. This thing weighs a ton, too. But, okay, that's show and tell. So we're going into the movies, right? Okay, we're going into the movies. Okay. Do we need to do a timer on this, Todd? You're going to introduce and give your opening statement on.
We don't need a timer. We'll go on the honor system.
Yeah.
On Top Secret. However you want to say, and you rewatched it. I'll ask you a question. How long since you've seen it?
Probably about 2 years since I've seen it. So it's kind of a perennial for me. I would say I probably don't watch the whole film. I watch certain parts of it, but it fits in with like Monty Python films and stuff like this, where I just kind of go back and revisiting certain parts of it. So
feel free to make your statement.
Okay. Okay. For those of you who weren't movie watchers in the 1980s, there was a genre which was kind of broad parodies that were farces. This started, I think, probably with the Zucker brothers doing the first Airplane film, and then there were like Police Squad films later. But this kind of fell in between. It's not as well known. This is a very out there send up of essentially like Elvis movies and spy movies simultaneously. And the Elvis movie aspect comes in that the protagonist is an American pop star and he just periodically breaks into music numbers throughout the movie at often inappropriate times, and elaborate dance numbers, and and it's funny. There are a lot of things in this I really doubt would appear in a film today, due to certain sensibilities, but it's pretty damn funny. There's a lot of stuff in here that I really, really like. And I will say one last thing about this film is that I drove to see this film in the car that I was driving at the time, which was a red Ford Pinto, which I owned very briefly. Okay. And watching this film, there is a scene where a German truck drives into a red Ford Pinto and very barely touches the back bumper, and it explodes, as Pintos often did earlier. And so it just kind of owned me from that point on. So it's been, I saw this with some friends, and we continue to make jokes about this film and whatnot. So anyways, it's got a special place in my heart. You guys can rip it up as much as you want to, but I love it for what it is. It's also one of these things that you got to think of in the context of its times. So,
okay.
That's my piece.
Anybody?
I did see it in 1984 when it first came out, and had not seen it since. And actually remembered a lot of the jokes, but they weren't as funny now as they were then.
Right.
And I don't know, even people listening who get the Pinto joke, because that was such a late 80s thing. And
exactly.
It was really a 70s thing, wasn't it?
70s. It was a
70s thing.
70s thing. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I did not love this, I got to say. I think it's a far cry from Airplane, which had some very funny stuff in it. Yep. And I mean, I appreciated the backward scene and the underwater scene. Other than that, I really felt like it dragged, and he broke out into song, but like, okay, break into song, but give us a minute, not like full songs the whole time. I don't think I laughed once.
That was the Elvis movie thing, though.
I know, but I did not enjoy it. And again, I get those movies and the Police Squad and all that, but this was nowhere near one of those
Every
movies.
spy movie trope exists somewhere within this film. And
I can see why you like it in that context, but I just didn't get it.
It's not a spy movie. It's a World War II underground movie set modern day
Casablanca than it is
inexplicably in East Germany. Yes, it is. But like I say, all the spy movie tropes were in there with the meeting the guy in the street, and there were all the things like this, and and there was several homages to Casablanca, all these different things like this, and
that part was funny. The Omar Sharif and the guy with the. With the novelties, that was a little funny.
I love the resistance fighters.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
I love the inexplicable French resistant fighters in East Germany, and their names.
Croissant and latrine.
Chocolate mousse.
And Deja Vu.
I feel like I think from.
That was my favorite. I love it.
The funny thing with Deja Vu is seeing this. Every time I've seen Deja Vu, I've thought I've seen him somewhere before. He is the butler on Downton Abbey.
No,
that is Mr. Carter
way
from Downton Abbey. Yes.
Wow. Good spotting.
What was the movie that the kid was the bad guy was supposed to be from?
A Blue Lagoon.
Blue Lagoon, which was 1980.
Right.
They really there's a lot of time between the references. Like Pintos were 10 years ago. The whole was like 4 years ago.
Not only that. So I love the whole comedy genre, Airplane, Police Academy, like Fletch, all that kind of goofy stuff. This doesn't compare in any way to any of those. But it did have some funny stuff, but so much of it was random and confusing. It's like they designed it on fumes. Right? Or there was a writer's strike and they didn't have any writers. And so they're like, well, what can we do that's random? But the thing that confused me most when I started watching the movie, and this is watching it in 2020 versus 20 years ago or 30 years ago, is it started out as a World War II parody, like Brian was saying, and I got totally confused. I was thinking, is this an alternate reality They never
Yeah.
explain it. They just keep going.
Well,
And
the
then-
eras were all over the place because
But
you've
we
got
don't really
the World
know
War
what
II
was going on in
Germans.
East Germany at the time. So apparently they were wearing recycled Nazi uniforms.
I guess
Yeah.
so.
I
Well,
think
but
they
they-
wanted to do World War II, but
they
Yeah.
started
In the-
out with a surf song, which was 60s. Then
And that-
Oh, yeah,
not
no,
only
this
the
was
that-
meant to
Elvis
be-
thing,
this
which
was
was
meant to be
50s, and then it was
ambiguous.
World War II, which was 40s.
right,
Yeah.
right.
No, but it was they talked about divided Germany and whatnot. So it was meant to be East Germany.
It's East Germany, but that combined with what Barry just said, the '60s Skeet
Right.
City, USA
Yeah.
music video, which was so bizarre. It's awesome. It's
Right, but
iconic.
all the rest of
But
his songs were
it's-
clearly 50s.
they're '50s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went into it completely confused about it. Is this a sci-fi alternate reality
You
kind
were
of
way overthinking it.
And I was
definitely
clearly
overthinking it.
I was way over
Well,
the
that's from not seeing it in the 80s. You know, the 80s, seeing
And I
it
think
in
this
84
was
kind
a
of sets it.
callback to
Yeah,
like 63 to 66, basically, the Elvis movie era. Okay. And where he dressed like this and, you know, without the 80s influences and whatnot. Dave, did you at least like the Great Escape?
yeah,
I thought that was
it was
I thought that
obvious.
was pretty
But they
cool.
really
The
it
wink.
wasn't all over the board. I think they're like, let's make a joke, no matter if it has any context whatsoever to anything that people.
Oh, I mean, just when the German soldier fell off the castle and crashed as he was ceramic, like that had no context on anything.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying I agree with that, but the time period is just like, I don't know. The Zucker
So
brothers.
here's what I would say, because
Go ahead.
I've never seen this. Obviously, this came out. I was a junior in high school when this came out. This should have totally been on my radar because I loved the airplane movies. I love the Naked Gun movies. I honestly have no idea how I missed this then, and how I've somehow missed it my entire life. Like, I actually really like this movie. I got to be honest with you.
It's
I really
funny
did.
stupid. It's just funny stupid. And if you can put yourself in that mode, it's just. But yes, there's a lot of dated stuff in there. It's very jumbled.
Well, thankfully, I'm old enough to get most of the references because it came out when I was a teenager. But
yeah.
You know, I the thing that I will say, which this is really a minor criticism, I guess, but it ended very abruptly. I felt like they got to the plane and it just ends.
But that's how basically Casablanca ends.
Casablanca,
It ends
yeah,
like
true.
I think
all
they
of
ran
those
out of
kind of
film.
wartime spy kind of thing movies where it's all just like you get in the plane and you go.
It's clearly though. I mean, I think one of you guys said it. Like the Zucker brothers had run out of steam. Like this was not on par with their best movies.
What year
in
was
any way.
Airplane?
That was like
80?
72 or
79?
79.
No, Airport was 72, or the real one.
No, I think it was 79 or 80, somewhere around.
I think it was. Let me look it up.
Yeah.
I was
coming
happy
back-
to see it was an hour and a half.
1980.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
It was 1980.
it watched like it was 2 hours.
Coming around to the
I
star,
didn't think it
Club of
dragged at
Features
all.
Today. Oh,
Really?
Yeah,
Oh my god, I was like,
No, I mean,
no.
this
I
is not
gotta
high
agree.
art. I'm not.
It
I
did
may have
overselling
laughed,
it, but
twice through the whole thing.
Oh, come on, twice?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
what I found interesting is that I thought that there were some scenes that I thought were flat out funny. Some stuff that was just, and then there was the weird stuff like the underwater scene and the backwards scene, which were actually really cool and kind of didn't fit in this movie, but it's cool that they were there.
Yeah. Yep.
And got to give it to Val Kilmer. He sang all those songs himself.
He sang those songs himself.
Yes,
I do
he
give him a lot-
absolutely did.
For his first movie, he got a lot piled on him.
That the dance scenes were incredible. How many doing the chair thing where you jump on the chair and you basically ride the chair down. It's like I'm watching this and he's
All
doing
that
this
stuff,
wearing-
the rug stuff. I mean, that's a lot of choreography.
He's doing
and
this
then
like
that
wearing
backwards
beetle boots,
scene.
and I'm like, okay.
He's a phenomenal dancer. I came away with that going, wow, this guy is
Yeah.
good. He's very pliable. But Brian, are you kidding? That wasn't him singing.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
that was
absolutely
him.
was.
No, I think
That
it
was
was.
absolutely him.
It was
Look
it was totally studio dubbed and very
Oh
poorly.
yeah, but
Oh, of course
meant
he was lip syncing himself.
but
yes.
No
played
kidding.
like it was
Wow.
studio dubbed. Again,
Yeah.
it was exact again.
Like Elvis did. Yeah, same thing.
For some unknown reason, my dad loved Elvis movies. I saw all these movies as a kid. Okay, where through some contrived situation, Elvis ends up somewhere, and then it's whatever, and then a good-looking woman shows up. But these played just like that with the bad lip dubbing, the it sounds like you're in a recording studio regardless of where you are.
Misplaced dance numbers, yeah. But he's saying, look at the end of the credits. He's credited for every single song.
Yes.
He's singing them all.
Wow.
I give him credit for that, and I don't know where they picked him out of. That they just put him as the star of the movie, which was interesting. But
yeah. Well, he's especially back then, he was the good-looking dude, so I'm sure that helped.
I had that exact same haircut at that exact same time.
In one of our texts, I said I wondered how Lucy Guttridge felt about having a male co-star who was both prettier than she was and wore more makeup.
Definitely had makeup on the whole time.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised he actually worked again after that.
For all of these movies, and I texted this to Dave and Todd thinking that it was just the three of us, so I should have sent it to all of us. But so I pulled the IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes scores and box office for all of these. So I just think it's important we throw those out as we go. So Top Secret has a 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb and a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it made $20.5 million at the box office.
But cost
that's not
make, right?
But that's not a bad number.
It cost about $9 million.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what Star Wars
8.5 to $9 million.
There was a lot of expensive stuff in that silly little movie. I looked at that stuff and went, man, they spent a lot of money for that one dumb joke.
$9 million.
Yeah. Just making that scale model of the German castle was probably very expensive. I mean, again, it was stuff like that. Like I said,
laughed. I love that. That was
every one of these movies we've ever seen. They do the drawing in the sand thing, and to go into this huge scale model thing. I thought that was, there's all these little things like that just kind of, there's it drags, and yes, it's very very dated, but there's, like I said, some very very clever stuff.
The underwater thing was pretty cool. That was. I guarantee they spent $1 million on that alone.
And 2 weeks to shoot it. Yeah.
The backwards thing is the thing that blows me away.
I didn't. What was the point of that? I never understood the point of that.
Just to put one over on you, so you'd be like, "What's going on here?" And then it was just a thing.
But you're watching something and you have no idea what these people are saying. And you're watching it for 3 minutes, and then
so for anybody who's watched the movie, and the five of us chatted the other night with our friends Gordon and Tom, and we were talking about this movie, and Tom said that on YouTube there's actually somebody's reversed the sequence, and you can watch it in the actual order it was filmed with the dialogue in the right direction. And I did that, and it's actually really interesting. If you haven't done that, I highly recommend just Googling it and watching that couple-minute video on YouTube, because it's great. You really see how they did the whole thing, and you actually hear the dialogue, which is a little helpful.
Yeah. It's that's an amazing scene, and like I said, but there's just I love spy movies. Like I said, every single trope ever is in there. I love all the forced perspective things. The phone ring, the guy picks it up, and it's still a gigantic phone.
Which is hilarious, but there's no context for that.
No, there isn't,
whatsoever.
but that's what I'm saying. It's you've just seen these shots over and over again. Yeah. And it's like call me if his condition changes. He's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was funny.
Yeah. So. Apparently, I laughed more during Tombstone than Dave did during this movie.
There was a couple things I just didn't love it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
This was not a good week for Dave then, because he had to watch a couple movies.
How do you know? Maybe I love the next movie.
So
why do you don't put thoughts in my head?
So Dave, scores now or scores all at the end?
However, how do we want? I'm up to. We could go now if you want. Do we want to do that, or do we want to wait till the end?
Let's wait till the end, because we've got to explain our scale.
I'm still working on my bottom level.
Yeah, I got to figure out. That's why I figured we need an hour. Okay, so next up is Willow, and Barry, you can have your opening statement.
Sure. So obviously, I'm only going to speak for myself here, but obviously, I grew up, a huge Star Wars fan. George Lucas, when I was 9 years old when Star Wars came out. And, loved, Star Wars, Empire, Jedi. I was in high school already by the time, Jedi came out, but still loved it. And then, we really didn't hear a lot from him after that. And then we heard about Willow was coming. And if you were a member of the Star Wars fan club, when they ran out of things to talk about with Star Wars, was right around the time they started putting Willow into production. So I had followed that through the production as being a member of the Star Wars fan club, and I went to see it when it came out in the theater, and I will go so far as to completely put myself out there and say I loved it at the time. I loved it when I saw it. I have continued to enjoy this movie throughout the years. I've watched it with my kids. I've watched it many, many times. I don't know if you had to be of a certain age to appreciate this movie when it came out versus watching it now, but I think that the performance is really good. Clearly, when you watch it now, there's no doubt that some of it doesn't look as good as it could. I mean, some of the effects don't hold up, and they haven't been remastered the way a lot of other things have. So, they are what they are, but there's some charm to that too, I think. But I don't know. I've always enjoyed this movie. I like the fact that, he gave Ron Howard an opportunity to direct when he did. He, gave him an opportunity to sort of, learn from him throughout that process. And I don't know, I'm a fan of this movie, so I may be alone here, but I'm a fan of this movie.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure, Dave.
When's the last time before this airing that you saw it?
Probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
It's not something I watch on an annual basis, but it's definitely something I watch, fairly regularly.
Okay.
Who else wants to go?
I will go, and I will say, watching this, I can certainly understand that. I understand your attachment to it, and that for the time when you saw it, how you connected with it, and how it maintains that connection, which I appreciate your respecting about my film also. So I think contextually, film is very, very much an impression thing, and I think when and how we first see something leaves it kind of indelibly in our minds. I think that it's really hard to walk out of a film that you really enjoy and never have those feelings kind of stick with it in your head. So this, not my thing. Okay. But
I can see where coming at this cold as a 50-something-year-old man.
I respect your love of this film. I'm not going to pick it apart because of that. I will say your virtual background effect, Barry, is better than most effects in this film.
Oh my God. Let me just preface my statements, Barry. I love you. There's nothing personal about you.
Can you maybe put the handgun down?
Yeah,
it's a little intimidating.
I gotta say, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
No.
It is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. The acting was horrific. The story was just nothing. And the effects done by ILM were by far the worst effects they've ever done in their career.
That couldn't have been ILM, Dave. It could not.
It was Dennis Murin.
That stop motion animation.
The green screen. Kevin Pollak lost a bet to somebody that he was in this movie. I don't know how he did that. But I feel like they filmed those two guys, him and Rick Overton, behind a green screen and then cut them in. It was the worst green screen I've ever seen. The lighting was completely different than everything. And this is 1980. This is 7 years after Star Wars. How could they be that bad? I just don't get it.
Yeah. Well, but look, I'm not going to defend this thing strongly. In 1983, they were doing stop motion for the Rancor. That doesn't look any different. If you look at the original
I'm not even talking
Rancor. I will say,
I'm not talking about the stop motion.
Yeah, I'm talking about the lines around the Rancor look a lot like this.
But really? I don't know. I mean, you put humans in. It wasn't even that hard. You just had to, I don't know. And I watched it on whatever the hell I watched it on.
I did notice with those guys
in
particular, and again, the light behind them was very jarring. What was also really interesting is their shadows would come and go. Like sometimes they would have shadows, and then other times they would not have shadows when the light was still in the same position behind them. And it was just like...
Now, these are the brownies you're talking about for everybody in the audience. Yeah. And
But
I mean,
their shadows
I never
didn't.
realized
I could
this-
put it this way: their shadows didn't track with the environment they were in. So I think that wasn't.
Yeah, but
planned
I mean,
properly.
look, and I know this was a few years earlier. Go watch the opening scene of Clash of the Titans. There's a bird flying through the sky that disappears in and out of the clouds, and that was only a few years before this. And that's the opening shot of a movie.
I was comparing to like Jason and the Argonauts. I felt like the matting of things, small things into big screen, or the opposite. I don't know. I can't believe that ILM or Dennis Murin. I know I saw his name. I just.
Yeah, I can't believe it was ILM.
There was nothing redeeming to me about this movie whatsoever.
The interesting thing is, Barry, you're not alone. You know, I haven't seen Willow before, but in pop culture at conventions, I've heard Willow. Willow this, Willow that. So there's a lot of people who have an affinity for this, or maybe or they saw it back in the day. So you're clearly not alone. However, I failed to, and Todd and I had a little side thing on this. He said, "What are there any characters that you find endearing?" I couldn't think of any. Like I couldn't warm up to any of these characters. I felt bad for Willow. I felt bad.
I did too.
He's got the hallmarks of the classic hero's journey, right? Trying to pull him into the story, but he fumbled a little with the pig at the magic thing, and I kind of like that. That was the only.
It is the hero's journey. In fact, the plot is so similar to Star Wars.
Honestly, it's Star Wars and it's Lord of the Rings.
The 10 Commandments right before they read Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Lucas actually came up with the idea back in '72. Is when he started working on the concept of it. But
you should have left it there.
It's clearly, it's clearly Hobbit, Lord of the Rings.
Oh, it's totally, and you know how much I hate that.
Joseph Campbell stuff all mixed together.
The problem is with the Joseph Campbell part is the hero didn't win the day.
No,
the hero hands the tool to someone else who wins the day.
No, but that's where it switches over to the Hobbit.
Right.
Yeah, it's completely. Yeah, I agree. The Hobbit is the same thing. The Hobbit is the same way.
The weird thing is, this is billed as Val Kilmer has top billing. No, has top billing, but this is like this Warwick Davis's movie.
It doesn't show
because
up
you couldn't
for the
put
first
Warwick
20 minutes
Davis
of
as the
film.
lead.
How did they give him this movie?
It's 2 years after Top Gun, or how do they give Warwick the movie? Is that
how would they say Warwick?
Because
you're going to be the star
Lucas
of this movie?
actually,
I think
while they were making Return of the Jedi, said to him, "Hey, would you like?"
That's why
I'm working on this concept of the original title he had for this thing back in the early '70s was Munchkins. I mean, he envisioned it as a little people movie.
He wanted a little.
What I said to you is probably accurate. Now knowing that original title,
I'm not going to go there,
Dave. On this,
I will say that somebody somewhere said, the Wizard of Oz had 129 little people in it, and no one will make another film with that many. Never gather a cast for that kind of film again. And someone took that as a bet. Okay, they didn't beat the total, but
you didn't think Val Kilmer was good in this.
I will say, Barry, that character is so inconsistent.
He's dressed as a woman the first
in terms
20
of his
minutes.
character, capabilities, and intellect, that you have no idea who he is.
But that's intentional. They don't want you to realize that he's actually a really good warrior until the end of the movie. I mean, that's Willow needs to see him actually start kicking ass and go, "Oh my God, you are a great warrior." If they had shown you that earlier, that would have.
But he's claiming to be that from the beginning. The other guy says, yes, he is, but he's unreliable.
He's claiming to be, and you have to assume that he's completely
But
full
again,
of shit.
the other guy validates it while he's still in the cage. Eric validates it while he's still in the cage, but says he's not reliable. And I don't know. That was the thing. The other thing too is there was just some, I will say, like the loving gazes from the princess or whatever her name is. There was about 60, during the scene where she's apparently discovering that she's in love with him. They went back to that shot like 60 times of her just standing there gawking at him. And it was like, really? And these two hooked up in real life?
Because, well, look, I'm not going to defend this plot, but
yeah, no,
she's been repressed her whole life by her evil witch of a mother, and she finally has somebody telling her that they care about her, and she's like never had that in her life before.
Yeah. So,
and this is not Ron Howard's first movie. I mean,
no,
he's done Night Shift was before this, I'm pretty sure, and it was way better than this. And then he did Splash the same year, right? No,
but he wanted to do a big action movie, and Lucas let him do it. I mean, those are such different movies in this movie.
Okay,
it's a big special effects movie too.
Yeah,
it's really different. Yeah, yeah. Look at all the match shots that are in this movie.
I'm saying I don't think it was. I think it should have been, but it just wasn't.
No, it was. There were big, huge battles. There was a lot of action.
I'm saying there were a lot of special effects. This is probably some of the worst special effects I've ever seen.
I gotta say, I felt bad for the trolls. Okay, the little hairy dudes. I assume those were the trolls, right?
Yeah.
I mean, one of them gets turned into a two-headed monster, and the other eats one of his which then eats one of his buddies.
Yeah,
it's like they weren't like doing anybody harm. Okay,
they turned everybody to stone.
It's like, well,
I did not expect anybody else to like this movie, so I'm
actually. This is the Last Jedi all over it. Do you still rewatching it? You actually like this movie?
Yes, I enjoy it very much.
Oh my god!
It's. I would say it's a good kids film. If I was 8 or 9 years old when I saw this movie for the first time, I probably would love it.
I'd go to 12.
That's child abuse. I'm pretty sure.
I would go to 12 years old
when you were still young and impressionable instead of jaded and curmudgeonly,
yes.
Dave.
Yes.
No,
I just felt. I mean, the premise is a typical fantasy film, hero's journey, but I had a problem with the characters. I didn't warm to any of them.
Anybody.
I didn't care.
Yeah.
About any.
And the acting was just horrific. I thought the acting was horrific. I mean, stick that guy in an Ewok suit, fine, but from the beginning, he could not even get a line out that
there are lines from this movie that I have used and repeat on a regular basis to this day.
Like, it was
for instance,
like your mother was a lizard.
That's what.
But you have to do it in the voice. Your mother was a lizard.
I don't really. That's no. I'm your Huckleberry.
But I'm your Huckleberry.
So I will also say, and this is one of the classic problems I have with props that drives me crazy. But if you're carrying around something that's supposed to be a baby, okay?
Oh yeah.
Put some weight in the thing you're carrying around, so it doesn't look like it's a pillow.
It changed sizes like all the time,
and the size was all over the place, and it was just like it's yeah.
And Todd, what's my least favorite living thing?
Your least favorite living thing, Dave? There's just so many you don't like.
No, come on, you know.
Don't say baby. Don't say babies.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
Okay, so when he says the last line, what's his last line, or the line when he had hidden the baby? What does he say? It's the old disappearing.
It was his old disappearing pig trick.
Okay, the way he says that, okay, I had to rewind that because I didn't know what he kind of mumbles the lines together, and I thought he said something else, and it was like, what? It was just that was just very odd. Yep. So
okay. Well, I can't say I'm surprised that I'm the only one that appreciates this film, but
I understand your appreciation. I do, and I yes, and I do appreciate your appreciation.
I have a hard time with Dave's. It's the worst movie he's ever seen.
I think that's a little extreme.
It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I respect the fact that I love the fact that Barry can see the good in things that other people can't, and that's what's great about you. I wish I was that. I'm not. I'm a more negative guy.
I love that about you, Barry.
Yeah,
I love it. You don't have to apologize. I mean,
all right. Well, so I'm going to do the numbers on this one. All right. IMDb has a 7.3 rating, which is 1 point higher than Top Secret, and a Rotten Tomato score of 50, which is 27 points lower.
They didn't even exist when this. What, they went back and did every movie?
Yeah, they go back. It's people going in there and toggling the things based on what they're like.
For 1988, this made $110 million.
Wow.
Was it 88? Jesus,
that's huge.
That's a blockbuster in '88.
How was this 88? How was these effects in '88? That's mind-boggling. 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and these are the effects they come up with? That's crazy.
It was on a. I don't have the budget here, but I'm sure it was a very much lower budget than Return of the Jedi.
Look at Aliens. I mean, Aliens was 2 years before this.
Yeah, so it was a $35 million budget.
That's a lot of money.
10. Yeah, but it made
a lot of that. I will say a lot of that too is location shooting. I mean, this wasn't shot in anybody's backyard, so.
So you guys know that they are developing a Disney Plus series, right? There is a Willow series on the way.
Wait.
Oh, your dream has come true.
Can we take a break while I cancel my Disney Plus subscription?
No, Dave, they'll ruin it. They'll ruin it.
So now we're going to go to Dave's choice, which is the safest choice on the list.
I bet you every episode.
All, the whole thing started because we were talking about.
And I'm just saying, if you look at Todd and I both picked things that were outliers, and were a good chance somebody was going to like. You picked one of the most highly acclaimed westerns of the modern era. Go, Dave.
This thing started when I said Val Kilmer's only been in 2 movies. That's all you need to watch: Top Gun and Tombstone.
But this is Val Kilmer's not the lead in this movie.
You know what? I would argue he probably is. Kurt Russell just doesn't know it.
Yeah,
no.
Sure.
Okay, I'll answer that, and then I'll give my opening statement. This movie had a first-time director attached to it, and when he could not actually fulfill his job, which has happened a lot, he was fired, and they brought in another. But Kurt Russell did a lot of the directing, and there was a great Val Kilmer interview where he's like, he gave up a lot of his time and even his screen time to build up that Doc Hollywood.
His thing was, I read a similar thing about
Maria
this.
called it Doc Hollywood the other night too.
What?
That's a good movie.
Yeah,
what Kurt Russell found redeeming about the entire thing, which he thought that there was a ton of bloat in it. He thought what was redeeming was the relationship between these 2 men.
Yeah.
And he saw that as a fundamental
that
element in Wyatt Earp's character that he wanted to tap into. Prior to the events of this film, Doc Holliday had stepped in a confrontation area and saved Wyatt Earp's life, by Wyatt Earp's estimation. He basically was massively outgunned, and Doc Holliday, for no reason, probably other than he just wanted to rush, stood up, drew his guns, and said, "Well, you got to go through me too." And that shifted the balance. That was in Earp's biography, and like I said, that was the basis of their friendship. So it's and they didn't even recount that, but Kurt Russell seized on that element, and I think that makes it's one of the things that makes it a really good film.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. You're my opening statement. So I'll take my opening statement now. I mean, and I'm not a Westerns guy either. There's a handful of Westerns I like. This happens to be one of them. But, I mean, it's just the cast. Kurt Russell, Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton, Dana Delaney, Powers Booth, Michael Biehn, Rooker. Everyone Rooker?
Okay, so we're really 1 degree of the 3 of us anyways. No, Daryl was there too.
Yeah.
We're 1 degree of separation here. So
that's right.
There were a ton of people in this movie. And
Lowell. Am I making my opening statement?
Go for it, Dave.
You're trying to.
Lowell from Wings. Awesome. John Corbett, Charlton Heston. Come on. Billy Zane, Frank Stallone. You can't go wrong with that. Stephen Lang. Does anyone know the dude who played Ike Clanton was the bad guy in Avatar? Totally different looking dude. Yes. But anyway, some of the scenes in this movie, like when Wyatt Earp steps in and smacks the guy in the Oriental the first time, skin that smoke wagon. I use that phrase almost every day.
That was Billy Bob.
Me too.
That was Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton,
yeah. Skin that smoke wagon.
Smoke wagon.
And then the whole Johnny Ringo and have the little pistolier swinging around. Those are 2 of my favorite movies. It does drag a little in the middle, but as far as a Western goes, they really, captured real events this is all real people based on real events, and I think they made it different than most Hollywood westerns where they made them all these sort of grainy sepia tone dull things, and that's not how the West was. There's a great behind the scenes thing on YouTube. Just look it up. Behind the scenes.
Yep.
I'm not done with my opening statement.
Clearly. I think you're hitting up on a minute, though, Dave. So,
ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that's why I submit this is the finest Val Kilmer movie and by far his best performance, and he runs away with this movie. Doc is the best character in this movie by far.
He does exceptional. How much time passed between the gunfight, the OK Corral, and Morgan Earp being shot?
Oh, I don't really know. In real life, I don't know.
In this movie, how much time passed?
Like, not even a day, right?
Minutes,
they made out of it was the same night.
It was 2 months.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's extreme time compression in this film. I will say this is probably in actual depiction of events. This may be one of the most accurate film representations of these events. But they played really fast and loose with when things happened. You know, they really gave you the impression that this was just like dominoes falling. And this was spread out. There was probably 12 to 16 months in the course of when these events actually occurred. You get a sense of that later, but the whole thing with, with Virgil being shot and then Morgan being essentially assassinated, those were 30 days and 60 some odd days later, and it seemed like the next day or that night.
Yeah.
Were we supposed to think that Wyatt and Josephine were actually having an affair that whole time? Because they never showed them together.
I don't think they were saying they were having an affair, but they definitely had some flirtation.
They definitely had a connection, but they never showed them together, and I wasn't sure if that was just supposed to be implied or if
because it was a family film, Barry.
Yes.
Yeah, but they did wind up they actually wound up together, and
they wound up together, yeah.
And you saw at the end, until he died, they were together.
Yeah, common law, husband and wife.
Yeah.
Robert Mitchum told us.
Yeah.
So. There is not a time this movie's on that I won't watch it. I try to get to the smoke wagon scene and then the sort of the show off with the guns. But there's no doubt in my mind this is his best performance. Anyone want to argue that?
I'm not going to argue it. I'm going to say similarly to Top Secret, I had never seen this one before. I'm also not a big Westerns fan in that, so I'm not surprised that I hadn't seen it. But we actually sat down, the five of us, to watch this one because in Brandon's film class, he actually had to watch a Western coming up in the next couple of weeks anyway.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah. So
what was he planning on watching? Do you know, or did
he didn't know? But when I told him, he's like, "Oh, that's one of that's definitely a good one." So. Mm-hmm. I really liked the movie. I'm not going to deny it. Just because you didn't like my movie, I'm not going to.
Thank you for being that way.
And I think clearly I've seen more of Kilmer's movies than just these three. I think probably his best performance in any movie that I've ever seen. I think he was great. He totally stole this movie.
He was nominated for the Oscar, right? For this movie.
No, he wasn't. I thought he was.
He wasn't. Yeah.
A Golden Globe, I think, though. He did get. I will say, he was handed a fantastic part here. Okay. I mean, there's no question. If you watch this movie, if you've seen this movie 2 or 3 times, just go through and anticipate the lines, and he is given every single good line. Okay. I think there's one quotable line that Kurt Russell has on the train platform where he says hell's coming for you or something. It's like
smoke wagon also.
But everything else is Doc Holliday.
But Kurt Russell did that. I think he said check out that documentary. It's definitely where it's about 28 minutes. It's on YouTube. It's interesting. It gives a little bit of background on
one
all
of the
that
things
stuff.
that I did like, I found interesting because I've probably seen every movie about the OK Corral shooting. One of the things that they do interesting is every time they take creative license, it's something that's not definitively known. Like Johnny Ringo was basically found with a hole in his head. And so they they created their best version of how that occurred. Rather than but the things that are known and factual, they stayed very, very close to what like the coroner's inquest say and what the majority of the eyewitness reports, which were very, very conflicting, said. So, you know,
go ahead,
Brian.
Drove my wife across the country from Washington D.C. to California 2 years before this movie came out, and stopped in Tombstone. Walk through the whole tour and the whole thing, and then seeing this movie immediately afterwards, like they really nailed it. Where the guy stood, it was next to a photographer's studio where there was a model. They made the model, you know, his girlfriend. Right. But that all really happened. They all really stood right in those same spots. He even had a stick in his hand. It was amazing how accurately they hit it. After you watched My Darling Clementine, which the gunfight goes on for 10 minutes.
Right, 30 seconds.
This is this where they really, really nailed it. Nailed it.
Well, the Star Trek episode gets it. It was pretty quick.
Yeah,
Spectre of the gun.
I read one of the things I read years and years ago was the coroner's inquest report, which the only thing, it's totally dry, but the only thing interesting to read in there is Wyatt Earp's testimony, because he was obviously playing to the court and he was playing to his own legend, but he talks about Billy Clanton pointing the gun at him, seeing Billy Clanton pointing the gun at him, and him turning to the other guy and shooting, pulling his hammer back, aligning the front sight on the guy and pulling the trigger while this other person is shooting at him. And he said, I'd seen Billy Clanton shoot before, and I'd seen Tom Lowry shoot before, and I made the best choice I could. And it was like, this is one ice cold bastard. I mean, it was just like, One
thing that I will say though, too, is that in my opinion, most of the primary actors other than Val Kilmer were kind of almost playing themselves. I mean, there wasn't a lot of acting going on or character creation going on, where Kilmer completely played, you didn't see Val Kilmer after a while. You were seeing a character. Most of the other guys, like Bill Paxton, and they were kind of playing themselves. I mean, I didn't feel like there was a ton of acting going on.
That's why you hire Sam Elliott, though. I mean,
Sam Elliott is a cowboy no matter what you put him in.
Sam Elliott
he's a cowboy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think Michael Biehn did a great job.
Michael Biehn, too. Yeah, that's fair.
He was good.
He's always good.
But also, of all those people, Doc Holliday he's a psychopath. He was a real character. I mean, he was this crazy. He was a dentist. He went to dental school, but was a gunfighter and a gambler and a thief and a murderer. Yeah. I mean, this guy was a real.
This was also a guy who, and this was conveyed better here than anywhere else, really had no life expectancy and nothing to live for, despite living years after this. And that was where his total lack of fear came from.
To Barry's point, though, coming back to Val Kilmer again, he's a different person in every one of his movies.
He is, and that's what I think really this illustrates.
You don't know who Val Kilmer is at all.
Yeah,
he is pretty. Really, when
you play himself, look at who knows? Yeah. He's different in every film. Look at these 3 films; it couldn't be more different.
Yeah,
his range is huge. That's what I was very impressed at. Looking, he started out in comedy and then completely, transformed based on I think how good he was. It must be, directors loved working with him. He was very talented, but went on to be Jim Morrison in The Doors, and
probably his best part, though.
I think so.
Yeah, he was fantastic in that, and he sang his own songs again.
Todd, I'm surprised he didn't pick The Saint.
He disappeared into that role.
In The Saint?
No.
Oh, in the Jim Morrison. Yes, in The Doors. Yes, yeah. I agree. Batman Forever, again, completely cardboard, very, very neutral, but I also think that's what they went for.
I don't think it was his fault at all.
That's what I'm saying. I think they said Bruce Wayne is generic white guy when he's not Batman, and that's what you're going to play, and he came across as very uninteresting and not Bruce Wayne, but I like this film. I probably have not now watched it in probably 5 or 6 years all the way through, but it is one of those films, Dave, like you said, where if I'm like flipping channels, I'll watch it till the next commercial or something, because it's that good. And there's so many good scenes in this, I think it's the best depiction of these events, despite the liberties they take with it. I will say, if you look at the cast of this and Wyatt Earp, basically everyone who's acting at this period is in one of the two films. Okay,
I never saw Wyatt Earp. It just seemed wait, isn't it like 3.5 hours or something?
3 hours and 5 minutes, but it's tortuously boring. It's really meant to be a much more of a character piece focused singularly on him, and
it's three times the budget and it's third as good as this movie.
And I also feel that, I mean, the thing with Wyatt Earp is, this is a person who is virtually unknowable, because most of what's known about him is his own, like, essentially autobiographical stuff, and that shifted so much over time. He's like, at various times said he's both not done and not done just about everything, and then none of those things line up with historical accounts. So I think trying to do a deep character study of that is going to fail no matter what. But I think this was just enough. This was a Wyatt Earp that you could follow along through the story and say, oh yeah, this guy is just, this guy is that guy, and show some cracks in that, in that demeanor, which mostly were around Dana Delaney. But I like it, but I do think that Val Kilmer has the best performance in this, but was given the best opportunity.
So this, out of the three movies, was rated highest on IMDb. It has a 7.8.
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes is a 73%, so it's lower than Top Secret, but higher than Willow. This made $56.5 million at the box office off a $25 million budget.
It did a lot in 1993 with $25 million.
But not Willow money. Okay.
No, didn't say Willow money. Didn't even come close. Half
not
of
Willow money.
It's funny, Dave, you were talking about Star Trek. Growing up as a little kid on Star Trek, for years I thought the Clantons were the good guys.
Yeah.
I watched these movies. Like, the Clantons are the good guys, right?
Yeah, I know, right?
It took me a while.
That's so funny. Me
too.
Yeah. Okay. Should we go to? Is everyone prepared with their ratings? Who wants to go first?
Oh, I'm ready.
Oh, so go.
I'm ready.
So
all right.
You got to give us your scale.
Okay.
And then give us your numbers.
Of course, the hard one was the bottom one.
Yeah, that was tricky.
I gotta say, the worst movie I ever saw was Woody Allen's Interiors.
Ooh, that's bad. That's bad.
Okay, so that's your one.
That's my one.
I don't know. I wouldn't watch a Woody Allen movie, but anyway, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you wouldn't watch. And this is the worst of the Woody Allen movies, so yeah, you can imagine. And of course, a 10 has got to be, Star Wars or Rogue One or something like that is at the top. So having said that scale, I would give, let's see, we'll start in order here. Top Secret, I will give a 6.5. Enjoyable. I've seen it twice. It'd probably be another 20 years before I see it again. Little movie Willow, I'm going to give a 5. I'm going to 5. I think if I'd seen it as a little kid, I'd probably be in as love as Barry, because I think it's it's kind of a kid's movie. You got to be younger when you see it. And I will give Tombstone. It's a really good movie. I'll give it it's not Star Wars good, but it's close. So I'll give it an 8.5.
It's
generous. Close. I forgot how good it was. Good. When I went and saw it again, it's like, oh yeah, this is a really good movie.
All right, who wants to go next?
You prepared? Good. Sure, I'm prepared. So the top of my scale, I only have 9. I keep a list of my favorite movies of all time, kind of ranked. I have about 9.
The collector.
Exactly.
Wow.
I'm a collector and curator. So I have about 9 that I would put up there around 10, 9.5 to 10. Raiders of the Lost Ark, Star Wars, Magnificent Seven, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. Yep. So I love Westerns too. And I really had a hard time finding a 1 because I tend to avoid really bad movies, like really bad. But let's call it The Last Jedi. That's a really bad movie.
Yeah. Ouch.
Excellent.
Ouch.
Excellent choice.
So I would put Tombstone up there. I'm with Brian, like at 8.5. I'd love to see it. I'd want to see it again in a couple of years. It's just so good. and a real good depiction of a Western too. I actually liked Top Secret. I mean, it's not as good as those other comedies, but you guys reminded me of some really classic stuff and some chances they took. Filmic chances. They were really good. So let me give it a 5. I'll watch it again. That seems unduly harsh, but I'm kind of harsh on stuff. So maybe 5.
Yeah, you're harsh.
Willow, it's just not for me. I never want to see it again. It may be the worst film I've ever seen.
Oh, really? Are you kidding me?
I've seen some bad films in my time, but
it's not Last Jedi bad, but
it might set a new low for me.
So from now on, it's a scale of Willow to Tombstone.
Does that take your place as the 1?
I'll give it a 1.
Ouch.
Okay.
Dave, you want to go?
I'll go. Like I'm like with Daryl on the 10s. I'll give Raiders of the Lost Ark is 10. I tend not to be a negative guy, so it's hard for me to pick a 1.
God, I'm glad I wasn't drinking something. Okay, go ahead.
Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes is definitely a 1.
Yep.
Because how it angers me. And so we going in order. I give Top Secret a 4. I just did not really enjoy it at all. I give Willow. I've got a lot of different numbers here. I
don't pull punches, Dave.
I'm not pulling punches.
Why start now?
I gotta look at it this way. You know how I feel about Planet of the Apes. If someone put a gun to my head and said, figure out something redeeming about Planet of the Apes, I'm like, Rick Baker's makeup was great. No doubt about it. I can't give anything redeeming about Willow. I'd give it a 0.5. I mean, it could be my new worst movie I've ever seen in my life. And I'd give Tombstone a 7.5. Todd?
Very good.
Okay. My 10 is Star Wars. My 1, I chose outside of my genre, but the movie Pink Flamingos. I don't know if any of you have seen it. It is the worst movie I've ever seen.
I can that's a good choice.
It's a choice that other people would make it a 10. So that's
I know it's crazy
choice.
that's a cult thing that people love, but see, to me, I don't get it. I'm going straight 7s across the board.
Oh,
I think they're all. I like them. All at a 7.
Sums up Barry's amenable personality, which is why he's great.
Listen, if I had never seen Willow and I wasn't a Lucas fan and I watched this for the first time at 52 years old, I might have hated it. But it's got a lot of affinity in my mind. So, and I've always loved it. So, and I make no apologies for that.
Todd?
Okay. I'm going to put this in Marvel parameters. I'm going to say the first Hulk movie. Okay.
Excellent choice.
And the Eric Bana Hulk movie. And then the on the bottom end, and Iron Man at the top end, which I love above all things. I'd probably go 2.5 for Willow, 6.5 for Top Gun. See, I can't even do it. Top Secret, and 8.5 for Tombstone.
Okay.
So, I respect what Willow tried to do. I will say that.
And
2.5 worth.
We said from the beginning that there's no winners in any of this, but that's not true because I obviously won. My movie's the best. Obviously, we all agree.
Dave, I've got to say one thing. It's not I'll Be Your Huckleberry. It's I'll Be Your Hucklebearer.
No, it's Berry.
Bearer. No, it's Hucklebearer.
I don't believe it is.
There's a person who carries the casket. The huckle is the handle.
I think he's absolutely right. It's not Hucklebearer.
I'll be the guy who carries your casket, is what he's saying. I'll be your Hucklebearer.
Because I was just looking that up to be honest with you. Hold that thought for a second.
And Barry, I have a similar story to that. Back when in the 80s, when Lucasfilm was touring to all the conventions, they were also pitching another movie. It was an animated movie. Not Time After Time. Time Again.
Time
I can't
Bandits?
remember
Not Time Bandits. That wasn't them.
Oh, they're
Time
small
Bandits.
people.
No, it was an animated movie using all cutout moulage animation is what they called it. And they were pitching this movie, and it was a Lucasfilm movie. Lucas gave these guys a budget to go make their animated film, and I wanted to love it. I went and saw it and came out and went, "Isn't that great?" And all my friends went, "No, it was terrible." Like, no, it was great. I went back and looked at it again. Oh, this movie's terrible. I just got so psyched up for it because it was a Lucasfilm movie.
When was this?
I gotta find.
When was this, Brian?
This was. It must have been around between Empire and Jedi, maybe.
Huh.
Let me see if I can find it.
I'm
here.
looking up on Google. It's I'm Your Huckleberry. In fact, and there's an ad. Here's our next commercial. Val Kilmer's autobiography, I'm Your Huckleberry, a memoir, comes out April 20th on all your book outlets. Check them out.
And how could he not want to be on our show to promote that?
I know.
Right, yeah.
I promoted it for him.
So it turns out there are two phrases. I'm your Huckleberry means that I'm the right man for the job.
Exactly, yeah.
And I'm your Hucklebear is exactly what you said, Brian. I'm your pallbearer. In this case, both of them apply.
Yeah.
But
it was actually a 19th century phrase, like, I'm the man for the job. I'm your
Yeah.
Huckleberry.
I'm going to be, and I hope it's that because I've used that endlessly over the last 25 years.
So Huckleberry Hound is just the dude you want to get. I mean, that's
Huckleberry
He's
Hound.
the dog for the job, I guess.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Twice Upon a
right.
Time, Brian. That's the name of the movie from
Twice
83.
Upon a Time. That's it.
I've never seen this.
You really have to look hard to find it.
I'm not going to look hard.
No.
So one of the things that struck me in Willow was this is a year after A Princess Bride, which,
yeah.
Okay, you could describe every single character in that movie, their motivations, who they are, how they're, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it just...
Well, I had a much better script to work with.
Oh, no, it did. But what I'm saying is that's one of the things that with this is I think they failed to make, there's definitely things that I get that you latch onto, but I think they really failed to make the characters compelling. And I think that's where they missed with this is I didn't feel an affinity for anybody at the end of this film.
Dave would have liked this movie if he was into fantasy movies. He doesn't like fantasy movies.
It's just this movie's just horrible. I'm sorry. I don't like, and
I
I don't like Hobbits,
fantasy.
and I do
like fantasy movies. And how can
Yeah, but
anyone
you're too old.
who
You guys are all
possibly
too
likes-
old. That's the problem.
How can
It's
anybody
just
like Star Wars
really
films?
poorly. It's poorly
I just
not
do a
like
made.
podcast
fantasy
with a bunch of
That's-
old
that's
guys.
the genre there.
That's what this is all about.
I-
It's just too old.
Acting's
Willow,
missed it.
Willow feels like it was written by George Lucas. He has the first credit, which is why
It was the story by him for sure.
It's
I
the
don't
hero's,
think he wrote
it's the
it.
hero's journey. And then the other writer was a television writer who wrote Nothing I Can. He wrote for SCTV and WKRP. And I have a feeling he didn't
I'd rather watch
understand.
WKRP.
Yeah.
At least
He
got
did not
Lonnie
understand
Anderson.
the
right?
Joseph Campbell stories because he messed up those characters pretty bad.
He exclusively wrote the brownies parts. That's what he
Yeah.
did.
R2D2 and C3PO.
Yeah.
Who's the brownies aren't the two guys, right?
No, those are Rick Overton and Kevin Pollak.
Yeah, I
Call
know.
them
The guys with the
brownies.
silly little voices. The
I
guys who were
really
mad in
looked up
every scene.
for a second. I thought, and I forgot this. That I'm like, I thought Ron Howard directed A Few Good Men, which he didn't. I thought that was his apology to Kevin Pollak for putting him in this movie. It was actually Rob Reiner. So I don't know if Ron Howard ever apologized to Kevin Pollak.
You got to check.
Kevin Pollak got paid.
That was his first one of his first movies. I wonder if he ever talked about it on this podcast, which is extensive.
Yeah,
I'm sure he has.
I
bet you he enjoyed his time thoroughly on that movie.
I think he said it was torture.
And looks back on it fondly.
No, I don't think he does. I'm sure he's had Ron Howard on his podcast. I wonder if he's behind the paywall now. I got to check that out. That'd be interesting to hear.
Yeah, we should find that episode if it exists.
If any of those guys have been on that.
They spent their entire time in a green room, right? I don't know if they were ever on a real set.
Oh, I don't think they're on a set at all. But I think they just filmed those guys for a week.
No one told them until like 1992 what film they were in.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I don't know.
Well,
I was not expecting.
They were both like, yeah, I'm in one of the Star Wars prequels, right? And they're like,
I'm a George
no,
Lucas
no.
movie.
No.
I wasn't expecting Dave or Todd to like it. I thought maybe Daryl. I'm surprised you hadn't seen it, Daryl. Honestly,
no. I'm not. I think Todd's a little bit older than both of us. I'm probably about the same age as Dave. But when I saw this, I was in college, and it just was off my. I mean, when it was out, I was in college. It was just off my radar. It just wasn't a thing that I was going to see. So.
Well, if you out there in the listening audience has watched all these three or seen, let us know what you think. We always appreciate to hear what you got. Thank you, surprise guests. I'm sorry Val couldn't be on here, but check his book out in bookstores on April 20th. I'm Your Huckleberry, a memoir. Can't beat that. He didn't say I'm Mad Mardigan, a memoir or whatever.
Just now, I saw it on IMDb. Mad Mardigan is his name. I thought he was Mad Mardigan. I thought it was two words.
Me too. I didn't
know.
Mad Mardigan
one
is
word.
the name.
Mad Mardigan is one word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Todd?
No. I was just going to say, Barry, what it was when he goes back and he says my old disappearing pig trick. I swear, I thought he said it was only dysentery, and I was like,
what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was at his last line. You know, the line there when he's hiding the baby. My old disappearing pig trick, and he was like, I was like, did he just say it was only dysentery?
What other movie have you ever watched where you got to see two old ladies beat the crap out of each other? I mean, at one point, one of them was punching the other one in the face.
Yeah.
This is true.
That's just, entertainment value alone right there.
There you go. I should have really appreciated that. Nothing better than old ladies getting into it.
Yeah.
That was totally Sauron and Gandalf. I mean, that whole sequence.
Oh
was
God,
just,
yes.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Listen, I'm capable of acknowledging it for what it is. It just doesn't change the fact that I enjoy it.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
What makes
we all have things that we enjoy, and
that's
some
what
of those
makes
things
me
are not
me.
mutual. So,
listen, if I wasn't here to be the yin to your guys' yang, this would just be a cesspool.
Exactly.
It'd be a yin fest.
Exactly.
You've
Be all yings and no
you needed
yangs.
to. The Last Jedi. Come on, you totally got on board. We'll get you there on this.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, this one you won't turn me on.
Really?
No, this was, and I was in college when this came out too. It's not like I was, high school.
Whoa! Wait a minute. You were in college when this came?
Really?
Yes, 88.
Oh my God!
Really?
And you went to see
I
it?
graduated in 85.
If you had seen it when you were 9, all the stuff you said made sense. Now that the fact that you were 20.
Yeah, I hadn't done the math. Okay.
I was 21. Or probably 20. I was the summer of my 20th birthday.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Must have been a great date.
All
I
right.
probably saw
enough
this
of
with
that.
my wife when we were dating. Come to think of it.
Okay. Well, we before this spins out of control.
As if it hasn't.
Too late.
Rooker dies in this. I thought it's nice that he turned to be a good guy. You know, the funny thing is with Rooker, in all these older movies, he's got this curly hair, and it just does not seem Rooker like.
Yeah.
No, and then he shaved it off when he was in with Days of Thunder. Was he bald already, or was it Mallrats that he was bald?
No, in Days of Thunder, he had the curly hair. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know, it's funny when we were watching this. Joey said to me, he goes, "Ego and Yondo are both in this movie, Dad."
Yeah, you know, the funny thing with this movie is like there's a bunch of things like that where you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, this is this person, because there's just so many damn people in this movie, and there's really the character the guy that was the sheriff. Has he ever done anything else?
Yeah. That guy is Joe Tenney. Is that the dude? Bien, the guy who played Bien?
No, the sheriff was somebody famous.
The old dude, the sheriff?
Yeah, no, the sheriff, the younger guy, the sheriff that was the adversary.
He was Joe Tenney. He's been in a lot of stuff. Not
okay,
anything
I was trying to
remarkable.
place him and I couldn't figure out what it is.
And
but
also,
I'm saying, like,
John Locke was in it too. From
yeah,
Lost.
no,
Yep.
I know, but I'm saying
John Locke was in it.
everyone who's got a line in this movie is in a million other things.
Yeah. Probably one of Charlton Heston's last roles and you put him, you need this grandiose sort of Western guy. You throw Charlton Heston in there
for a real part. That was a real dude who was a big time horse rancher who had supposedly like 500 horses, and was one of these people that just like you went to him, and if you had his protection, you had his protection.
Oh, okay, cool.
It was a real person, and that was real events. So
just when you think of the list of people, and they've all had been in stuff, and you still made this movie for $25 million. I mean, these are not just scale paid actors. None of them are. They're all, and some of them were, Bean and Paxton, they're coming off of Aliens and the other.
Sam Elliott was quoted as saying, most of these guys had never seen a scorpion before this film, and none of them left without ever seen many of them. I guess they were just like everywhere in Arizona.
He's got like 6 living in his mustache. It was so big.
But he said like most of these actors had never seen a scorpion before this film, but nobody left the set without having seen at least one.
I gotta say,
Harry Carey Jr. was the old sheriff.
Right. Yep.
Wyatt Earp III is one of the guys in the Cowboys in the movie too. But I don't think there's a movie that's got a better mustache game than this movie. There's a lot of mustaches. If you look up the
real dudes too, it's like they even scaled them down.
Yes, they did.
They scaled them down appreciably. It's like Wyatt Earp looks like he could hide fruit in there.
Yeah.
They were just crazy. But if you like this movie, Dave, okay, maybe it's just the actors you like, but I cannot imagine how you didn't watch Deadwood. Deadwood is just like this movie for like 4 seasons. So
interesting.
Deadwood I had trouble finding a character I could root for in Deadwood. There's a lot of bad people in Deadwood.
There are a lot. It's a lot of shades of bad people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So anyway, check those all out. Anyone have any last thoughts? There's 5 of you. There's no last thoughts.
I got a quick Rooker story. You guys might like at Comic-Con. I have a Volvo that was a special edition Volvo. It comes in Swedish Racing blue. It's like a robin's eggs blue, like Rooker color blue, in Guardians of the Galaxy. So we're walking out of Comic-Con, and a Volvo the same color mine is driving by. It's like, oh, look, it's the same color as my Volvo. You don't see him very often. Who's driving it? Michael Rooker.
Oh, really?
Really?
He has a car the same color as this character in Guardians of the Galaxy.
He's got a Yondu blue.
I can totally see that. I mean, we only spent a little bit of time with him, but I can totally see that he would find a car that color on purpose.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah. It's nice. He's one of those guys who's sort of had this sort of career that's, been pretty steady, and then he's exploded with a couple of roles, which is good. Good for him.
Yeah. He was a good dude too.
He was a really good dude. Good to us when we met him.
For sure. So, and with that, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.